Welcome back. Today, I'm going to show you how to use a Lightbox. It's an amazing tool that not only will enhance your artistic practice, but it'll also make you more efficient in your drawing and definitely speed up your workflow. It's been around for years. It's a great tool. I want to show you how to use it. I want to show you how it works. Let's get started. So this is a Lightbox, and I got introduced to this tool back in 1987 when I went to art school. And it was to my surprise that the professors, they said that all professional artists trace. There's no way around it because you're dealing with deadlines and work has to be done fast. The only way that you can get your work done fast and efficiently is if you trace. And what a Lightbox is, it's a tracing tool, and it's meant for you to draw with accuracy and to make you more efficient. Because you think about it, if you're drawing freehand, if you're trying to draw by eye, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to have to go through a lot of renditions. But using a tool like a Lightbox or a Lucy, you can draw with efficiency and quickness, and you can get your work done. And you can actually learn more through tracing because it teaches you the dynamics of shapes and how things are put together in proportions. So just to show you a little bit how this thing works, it's just a box, right? There's a light switch here, a cord that comes out of it, and there's also a stand that can prop this thing up on an angle to get you to see the inside. You can see that there is a light bulb here, which lights up through this thin glass, frosted glass. Well, it's not really glass. It's more like a plastic mylar. And, oops, not plugged in. Hold on. Sorry about that. Didn't plug it in before I started. And you just hit the light switch. And voila, you get light. What happens is you will put a drawing, which I will show you in a little bit. You'll put a drawing or a photograph on top of this glass. The light shines through, and you can put your other piece of paper on top of it and trace, right? So that's how that works. And that's the history behind it. I got this on eBay years ago because I just loved using it in school so much, and I just had to have one, right? I'll show you how to make one very briefly in a moment. But the main thing I want to stress is that this is a must-have tool if you are serious about being prolific in your work and being accurate in your work. And definitely, if you're on deadline and you have lots of work to do, this is going to make you more efficient, and this is going to help you become a stronger illustrator. One more thing I want to mention before we get started on our little project to show you how this thing works. These light boxes, or light pads as they're now called, are pretty inexpensive, and you can get it at any art supply store, any place that sells art supplies. You just look up Lightbox or LED box, and you can find these very cheap. I think when I bought this years ago, they were pretty pricey. I probably paid maybe like $50 or $45. I don't know what it was, but they're very cheap now. And I bought one like this because this is the old school style, right? It's very nostalgic piece. I just had to have it because it just reminded me of my days of art school. But again, you can make it. You can make one if you want. You know, all you need is some form of box. You could get a drawer, wooden box like this, maybe. Right? This is a old wine crate. And all you'll need to do is get some form of plexiglass. Right? This is from an old frame. It's pretty scratched up, a little broken here, but you can put a white piece of paper, thin layer of paper, or even spray paint it white. You know, these little things you can get at Home Depot. It's just like a little L shape, I don't know, like a rod or something, and just slip your glass through. All right, see how easy that slides? You can literally buy a strip of LED lights and tape it down to the bottom of your box, your makeshift box, and make one of these really quickly. Just drill a hole for the plug, and you're good to go. So you can make one if you want, but you don't need to. They're pretty cheap, and like I said, they're very available, and they're much more portable nowadays. You can't lug this thing around everywhere you go, but they have these light boxes as thin as an iPad now. So it's very doable. You can make one or you can buy one, but definitely get one for your artistic practice. Okay, so let's find an appropriate image. I got my piles of papers and images that I just store here. Okay, this will do. All right. So we have our image that we're going to trace. This is just a photocopy, and I have a nice piece of watercolor paper that we're going to trace the image on using the Lightbox. So let's get started, and I'll show you how this thing works. The very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tape down your image onto the Lightbox. So just take a piece of tape and one side will do, but normally I do both sides, right? And now when you take your watercolor paper or your heavy paper or whatever paper that you're using, I would just tape the top part, one side, so that you can flip it and see the image underneath from time to time as you trace. What you're going to do is you're going to turn on your Lightbox and you can see the image showing through, right? Very nicely. All you're going to do is you're going to trace the major forms. And like I said, this method really teaches you about forms and shapes and how things are actually structured. Because sometimes when you're drawing freehand, what you think you see is not what you're actually seeing. So you have to be very, very observant and careful and always double checking your work, right? So if you're going for likeness, especially if you're a portrait artist, you do portraits, likeness is such a key and important factor in the success of your drawing. So tracing helps you achieve that end. And again, it's not cheating, right? It is not cheating. All professionals use this method, even back in history when these great Renaissance artists were doing these amazing works. They were using tracing methods like this. They were using Elusi. It's not out of bounds. It's definitely something you definitely want to incorporate in your artistic practice. Another thing you want to remember is before you start drawing, make sure that your work is properly centered on the page so that you can be mindful of, your boundaries and so forth. Okay. And this is great too, because now you see through the underlayer, you can see where the shadows lie. You can just give a light outline to the shadows, find those areas where the cheekbones rise, and all those little details is going to very much give you a successful drawing and give you a likeness that is hard to achieve through just eyeballing it alone. So that's it, right? I got a pretty good tracing. You can always go back and kind of enhance it, make it darker in some places, but we have a good underlying drawing right here that we can start to do a painting from. Had to run out and do some errands, but before we get back into this piece, just want to say, if you are enjoying this video and you like my content, please subscribe and please comment and share. This will help me get out more information to you guys and hopefully do some more videos like this in the future. So definitely subscribe and, you know, let's keep this channel going. Also, we want to push this drawing a little bit further. We have a good drawing down, but I want to show you how I will push the shadows a little bit more. So we're going to get a little bit more detailed with this piece. Let's get started. I'll show you what that looks like. You're going to take just a little piece of scrap paper so that when you are drawing on this stage and, you know, you're moving the graphite around, that you don't smudge it with the palm of your hand. I've smudged up so many drawings like that, but just take a little piece of paper so your palm can rest on so that you don't smudge the graphite on your page. So let's turn this on. And we're going to go back over some of these areas where we have this shading, and we're going to put in, we're going to get a little bit more detailed with it. So just follow along. This may take some time, but no worries. Follow along and just kind of carefully kind of mold out and shape out some of these areas very lightly. All right. Just kind of doing some little hatching, kind of putting in a little bit of shade just to kind of push the detail, you know, put some more darks in there around the eyes, beef up these eyebrows. And you don't have to do it too dark, but just enough so that you can start really seeing the difference between the light areas and the dark areas. You want to get some contrast in your drawing a little bit, right? And that's going to help you define your piece. And remember, there's an eyelid here. It's kind of faint in the drawing or in the copy, but this is an opportunity where you can start to exaggerate some of the features. You can really kind of distinguish some of the features that really make your subject unique. And this is an opportunity where you can really show forth the character of your subject. Don't rush it. And you may find in certain instances that your tracing was not accurate. And this is an opportunity to correct it. There may also be some things that you forgot or that you missed. Like I missed this earring. So we're going to put that back in there. Just take your time. Don't rush it. You want a good, solid drawing. Now, your pencil lines may be a little bit sketchy at this point, but don't worry about that. You can always go in with a shading stump and kind of blend these lines together to smooth them out. But the idea here is just to make sure that you get down the areas where the darks and the lights merge. Now, like a big area like the hair, you can leave alone. I'm really just going into the areas that make the person who they are per se, you know. Now it's definitely looking more like a real person now because of the shading that we have done. So a little bit of highlight over the lip. So we're going to fix that with a shadow. You know, there's some areas you can push a little bit more than others. So, you know, that's where your discretion is going to come in and your creativity. So this is an area, this is a stage where you want to just kind of play around and really take your time to build out the character. All right. So this whole area right down here is where her clothing is, and it's very dark. So we're going to leave it blank. Oh, went a little bit over. The whole point of this stage is to make adjustments, right? So there's a little bit of areas where I'm off, but that's okay. You don't have to be perfect, but you do want to be accurate. One thing that's not clear about the photocopy is where her arm and that back side of her body meets. So I'm going to kind of improvise here and just draw a little bit of lump where that backbone that juts out may be. So because it's just right now it's just coming straight down. It's not looking right to me. And also I'm not sure this is probably her armpit right down here. So maybe I'm a little bit off. Maybe this came up too high because it seems like she has something on her arm over here in the photocopy. So I am just going to pretend that there is nothing on her arm. Her arm will be bare. Anatomy will come in because this area of the arm is washed out in the photocopy. You can't see the nuances of the muscle that's in her shoulder and her biceps. So I'm just going to kind of, improvise and create that illusion. We know that this area is round, and we're just going to kind of lightly, very softly indicate that muscle is there. We have the back, that backbone. Might be a little bit darker back here. So we'll put a little bit of shadow behind that. And it's starting to look like something, right? It's starting to look like something. So I'm definitely going to check a anatomy book that I have to see if that is right. And if it is, great. I'm not sure how far this shoulder muscle comes down. It probably comes down a little bit further than I've drawn it, but we'll see. Okay, so at this point, we do have a much better drawing. It's much more defined, and it's starting to look very good. Okay, so did a little bit of research, and my suspicions were right. This is what a shoulder actually looks like. So this part right here, where the armpit is, it seems like this muscle comes to a point to right about here, right around the same area. So actually the arm that I drew was a little bit too thick, so we're going to adjust it. And actually you will definitely see more of a bump in the back. So we're going to bring this arm in. This muscle in the back, this I guess this is the tricep. Yeah, this is the tricep. It kind of bulges out a little bit, but it comes to a curve like that, and it's a little bit more rounded. So we're going to fix that arm because it's a little bit too bulky, and we'll come back in a little bit. Okay, so I think we have a good solid drawing that I will complete as a painting for a later video in another time. I hope you got a good understanding of how to use a light table. If you can't use a light table, then use a window with some good sunlight coming through. It works the exact same way. but you guys get the idea. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, and share. I love you, and I will talk to you again very soon. Yahweh bless. Peace out.